Hey friends, Evelyn here, and welcome to another Coffee Chattin' with Evelyn episode where we sit down, have a nice casual one-on-one chat over some topic. And for today's video, I really wanted to talk about, because I've been on such a podcast kick lately, my favorite podcasts for every occasion, because I'm pretty much listening to a podcast for everything that I do throughout the day, and I have very specific podcasts that I'll go to for specific things that I'm doing. So I figured if any of you guys out there want to know what podcast I'm listening to, or want any podcast recommendations, or just want to try something new, I'm going to be going ahead and just running through sort of my 5 different podcast moods, and then the different podcasts that I listen to for all of these different occasions. Let's get into this. So my first mood is what I call my self-improvement mood, my feeling inspired mood. Usually it's in the morning if I'm going on a little walk, if I'm making breakfast, if I'm in the bathroom getting ready, if I'm doing my makeup. It's sort of my feeling inspired and wanting to really take on the day mood, where I just need something short and sweet to kick off my day. So these 3 podcasts I'm going to cover are all sort of newsy podcasts, and this is perfect because I feel like it really sets me up for the day ahead. You know, if my coworkers are suddenly going to be talking about something super newsworthy, I will be all caught up. They're also all about 15 to 20 minutes long, so it's the perfect amount of time for you to make yourself breakfast, go on that quick walk, whatever it may be. So my absolute favorite, and I will have weeks where I actually hit this podcast all 5 days of the week, and then I'll have other days where on the weekends I kind of just binge all of the ones that I missed throughout the week. My absolute favorite though is Snacks Daily. So if you haven't heard of Snacks Daily, it is run by co-hosts Nick and Jack, and they give you the top 3 news stories of the day. And my favorite part is it's very digestible, and I know that's actually something that they use in their newsletter as well, but it very much is that. They deliver you the 3 top stories, and at least from my position as someone who's young and working in tech, they're always stories that I actually care to hear about. They're usually about some tech company or 3 just things going on in the business realm that I find particularly interesting. And my favorite part is not only do they give you a quick little rundown of what that business story is, they tell you why it's important, which is so great because sometimes I need people to tell me why this company IPOing is important. This company acquiring this other company is important. I need someone to draw those conclusions for me and tell me what the key takeaways there are. And Nick and Jack do exactly that, and they also do it in a way that's super just fun and interesting. I love their dynamic. They deliver it in a very not monotone at all way. It's very upbeat. They've got music. It's very structured. It's just quick and structured, and you always know what you're expecting. They do little shout outs and things like that too. It's a very fun podcast, that's for sure. And it always gets me in a really great mood while also feeling informed and on top of what's going on in the tech world or in the business world. And if you are a listener, or if you listen to a single episode after watching this video, HYHYSD, that's an inside joke, I guess, with them. So listen to one of their podcasts and you'll know what that means. My other go-tos, and I really only click on these if I still have some time left on my walk or while I'm making breakfast and I've already finished Snacks Daily and I kind of want to catch up on some other news. And I find that The Daily with Michael Barbaro, it's from New York Times. I love his voice. It's very just kind of calm and just delivers that news to you. And most of it is usually centered around politics. It's kind of just what's going on in the world itself. And it's not always news that I'm particularly interested in, which is why I don't listen to it every day, but it still is very helpful to listen to. So I like that one. My second choice, if I really have more time that I'm trying to kill in the morning, would be Up First from NPR. This is more of your daily news that you'd hear on your morning news channel. It's very much delivered in that way where it feels like someone's just talking and looking at a teleprompter and delivering that news to you, which, you still get your news, but it's not as fun and upbeat and gets you in that morning mood like Snacks Daily does. So those are my 3 favorites to get me in a good morning mood. My second sort of mood is my workout, my cleaning, my running, my cooking, my what I call my multitasking mood, where I'm doing something, but I want to listen to something to kind of take my mind off of things. And yes, you can listen to music, but I personally prefer a podcast. They're just so fun. Like, music is great, and I definitely have my moments where I want to listen to music, but I love listening to a podcast often instead. So in this sort of multitasking mood, I sort of have like two actual separate moods within it. So one is if I'm multitasking and I actually need to focus on my task at hand. And then the second is if I'm multitasking and I am physically doing things with my body, but I don't mentally need to be there. So let's dive into that latter one of if you physically are doing something in multitasking, but you don't mentally need to be there. So this is like if I'm doing a workout on the treadmill where my body's moving, but mentally I'm all checked out, or if I'm, triaging my inbox and it doesn't require too much mental effort. Maybe I'm eating. I don't know. I don't actually usually listen to podcasts when I'm eating, but for this mood, I usually turn to podcasts that have video format as well. So my favorites here, and this is really probably more fit for someone, like this is just my personal favorites, and so there are probably other YouTubers out there that'll probably better fit your preferences, but my personal favorites, if you want something fun and chaotic, is Zane and Heath Unfiltered. There's 4 different people that run that podcast together, and the dynamic the 4 of them have is just like pure chaos usually. And so as someone who likes to do at-home workouts that are 40 minutes to an hour long, this is the perfect way to take my mind off of the fact that I'm sweating and I'm dying, and I can just listen to their conversations, listen to their chaos, watch their chaos, and the time just flies by. So that's my favorite one for if you want something fun and chaotic. If you're looking for something fun and casual, not as chaotic, I like to listen to Wild Till 9. I feel like I'm just talking to 2 of my friends there. It's run by a boyfriend and girlfriend pair, Lauren and Jeremy, and they're also, or I guess Jeremy's somewhat in tech too, so I feel some sort of tie there as well, and it's just kind of fun. They bring guests on sometimes too, and the conversation's usually just light, but the video format itself, like the people on the podcast are expressive, and so it's usually nice to have that video format go along with it as well. The card just ran out of memory. Hopefully I'm picking up at the right place where I left off. So if after Wild Till 9, if you're looking for something a little more educational with video format as well, I like to listen to the Iced Coffee Hour. It's hosted by Graham Stephan and his assistant.
Welcome back.
I don't know if he's an assistant or I think he's an assistant. And they bring on guests usually. I usually just listen to the episodes where I know who the guest is or has some sort of eye-catching title that I'm kind of like, ooh, I kind of want to listen to more of that. But my favorite is with the Iced Coffee Hour, you feel like you're learning about the finance world somewhat, because Graham Stephan usually is talking to his guests about their investments, how much they make, what strategies they use to invest in, different things like that. So I feel like I'm learning while I'm watching that podcast as well. And of course, the video format just takes your mind off of things. So those are my 3 for that mood. If I'm needing to use my brain cells and can't really focus on the video and the conversation at hand, the podcast that I like to listen to and just kind of just have playing in the background. So this is for like if you're driving, if you're, cutting stuff up for dinner, if you're on a long run where you can't be looking at a video, then my favorites that are also about an hour to an hour and a half are, for a casual one, You Can Sit With Us, and they've got their husband/boyfriend counterpart, which is the tripod. I personally like You Can Sit With Us. I feel like I'm just chatting with my grown adult friends, and they usually talk I just feel like I'm one of the friends sitting there talking with them, and they also talk a little bit about what's going on in the news as well, which is nice. Another somewhat educational option here too, and one of my favorites honestly for long runs, this is my go-to if I'm going on a long run or walk or long drive, is How I Built This with Guy Raz. I love this podcast series. To my knowledge, I don't believe they have a video format, which is why this is perfect for long runs or drives and things like that. Sorry, a little bit of context here if you don't know what How I Built This is. It's a podcast hosted by Guy, and he reaches out to various founders and has interviews with them, has a podcast episode with these various founders of popular companies that probably you know and love. Some recent ones that I enjoyed was, I think the most recent one I listened to was Expedia and Zillow, and then before that it was JetBlue, and then over like a couple months back I was listening to Pipcorn. They are all over the place with the companies they bring on, which I love because the stories that the different founders have are just so incredibly different from one another, and it's very inspiring to hear as well. So if you're someone who's like me, who's very interested in how businesses came to be and like to listen to something very entertaining on a drive or a run or something like that, How I Built This, perfect nonfiction inspiring podcast. And if you're big on celebrities and kind of listening to their perspective and them talk, Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, I also absolutely love. This one I don't listen to religiously, I don't listen to every single episode, but I will go through and pick episodes with celebrities that I like. So I know they did a recent episode with Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. I haven't listened to it yet, but I am definitely going to one of these days. And so I'll just kind of go through and pick out celebs that I like and listen to those episodes. And my third mood is my working mood, I'm fully using my brain cells mood and can't really listen to this conversation at all. And these are the podcasts that to me feel like I'm just eavesdropping on someone's conversation, or almost like I'm sitting in a coffee chat and someone next to me is having a conversation and it's just background noise. So I'm somewhat listening, but not really, but it's just nice to kind of have that noise and have that chatter so that I think there's a name for it. It's like the reason why people fidget. It helps you focus more on what you're doing at hand if some part of your mind is also somewhat entertained, something like that. Anyways, my favorites. So 2 of them are actually no longer running, but if you want, you can go back and kind of listen to those if you haven't already. Frenemies and Views. And then the ones that are still running, Pretty Basic and Call Her Daddy. Once again, these are probably more catered to me as a person. So you're probably better off finding your own here, looking for people that you find are interesting and things like that. But to me, these podcasts felt like ones where I wouldn't need to go back and rewind and re-listen to any of these episodes. I just kind of like to have them on in the background, and if I tune in, I tune in. If I don't, it's okay, and I just let it keep running and play. So my last category, and this one I actually don't do too often, but podcasting for sleep, I hear is something that a lot of people do. But yeah, those are all the podcasts that I'm loving that I listen to. I know there's a whole bunch of podcasts that I just threw out at you, and surprisingly, I was looking through on Spotify. These actually aren't the top ranked podcasts, and I'm sure that's just because, everyone's different. Not everyone likes the same things, but these are my personal favorites, and I would highly recommend you give them a try if you are looking for podcasts to try out for certain moods. So yeah, I hope this helps somewhat. This is my last episode / video that I'll be uploading from New Jersey. So subscribe and stay tuned, because next week we're going to be in New York City and I am so excited. So subscribe, stay tuned for some New York City vlogs, New York City office visits, and food. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how excited I am. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.